location of the mural down the side of the workout place down there? And it's tearing and falling off. I'm surprised the historic commission people haven't said anything about taking it down and storing it someplace until they can redo it.
Nobody wants to mess with it. Nobody wants the responsibility.
I know they don't, yeah. They already said they wanted it off their building.
But then I can just...
You could have it. Sure, if you said you wanted it, we can bring it right up to your house. Throw it in the barn.
If I had a place to volunteer to store it, I would. My storage is full up.
Come on now, we're late here. We've got to be timely.
I'm ready. I was trying to be gentlemanly and wait for you. I think we're about ready. So we'll call the meeting to order. Tonight is August 16th, Board of Selectmen meeting, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Herb, you want to lead it off?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Even with Biden there.
All right. Don't have a jam-packed agenda tonight, but is there any changes or review that we need to look at? Herb?
No, I think we can get through pretty quickly.
Any changes to the agenda?
Nope.
And no changes for me. We do have minutes from the July 19th meeting. I'll take a motion on those.
Move to accept the minutes of July 19th, 2021.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. 3-0. And we have some non-public meetings for that, minutes for that same night, or no? I don't think we did. We do not. All right. Consent agenda is on the back of the cover page. We have a motion on that.
Move to accept the consent agenda for August 16th, 2021.
I will second that.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And now we have open forum for anyone in the audience tonight that might want to chat about something that does not appear on the agenda. Do we have any members of the public? Seeing none, we'll move on. Oh, okay.
I thought the agenda was going to contain 4th Street issue.
I've heard nothing about it other than that's probably what you heard, that it wasn't brought forward on the agenda for tonight.
Mike.
And the other issue, for those who are listening and are interested, my First Amendment rights have been recognized. It appears at this time at the school board I'll be recognized to speak. And I intend to speak ad nauseum about the past and to use the extremes of the First Amendment as I see fit to present my case as it was, is, and will be. And that after 5 months of being silenced by 3 board members who have no idea what the Constitution says or means. So for those who listen, it probably will be entertaining. Thank you.
When is that next school board meeting?
It's this Thursday at about 5 o'clock, I believe.
Congratulations on being unmuzzled.
Well, we'll see.
Anyone else? All right. Communications from the board. Herb, got anything tonight?
Nothing.
I have nothing. No.
Nothing to add tonight. The main thing on my mind tonight to chat about, I'll wait till the first action item. I imagine there's someone in the crowd that can speak more intelligently about the upcoming event than me. Since Christine is sitting in for the manager tonight, do you have anything for communications that is not on the agenda?
No, I
Okay.
just have my list of updates on grants.
And moving into that, for informational, Christine is here to tell us about
Yes.
some grants.
So we have some good money coming in. We it was announced on July 28th that we were a recipient of the AARP Community Challenge Grant. So I had brought that forth to you all in the spring to become part of their age-friendly network. We were accepted into the network, and with that we also were one of the winners of the first round of Community Challenge grants. It was their most competitive round with 3,500 applications. They chose 244 across the country, and ours was one of them. So that will replace all of the kiosks at the different trailheads across town, as well as all new trail signs. And we're going to be doing a new marketing effort of the town's recreation, just to really drive up that tourist component of our recreation, to make sure that everyone can enjoy all the different places that you can visit. So we won $3,600 for that grant, and I'm in the midst of working with PJ at the rec department to get those kiosks built, and the plan is to have them installed by November. These grants are quick turn, so everything has to be done by December. So that is that one. We were announced as a finalist on August 3rd for a Pet Safe Bark for Your Park grant, and this is another privately funded grant through Pet Safe. They choose 30 finalists from across the country. 20 finalists get a new dog, or 20 finalists are submitted for a new dog park. 10 finalists are competing for enhancements to their current dog park, and we are one of those 20. We're the only one in northern New England, which is pretty cool. And 5 will be chosen from those 20 to actually win the dog park. So now that our application was accepted and we were chosen as a finalist, we go into this voting round where each community, the communities with the most votes at the end of August, win the dog park. So we're up against some big communities, Detroit, Washington, D.C., Kansas City. There's some big cities, so we have to really drive up the public input. I'm hoping that as a small town, we can really get everyone involved, whereas a big city has to worry about the separate neighborhood that is going to benefit from the dog park. That's our saving grace. So the most votes we can get, the better. I've gotten WMUR, WCAX in Vermont, Eagle Times, and Valley News have all done a story on it. So we're really trying to push up the Newport name on a statewide level. So vote daily is my ask for that one. You can go to barkforyourpark.com and choose Newport. You can vote once a day, every day until August 31st. And with that grant, we would win $25,000 to build a dog park. And that dog park would go next to the Sugar River and AutoZone, right in that open area that's there. So it would be accessible by sidewalk for residents. And the idea is to grow it into a larger recreational area where there will be a community garden next to it. So people can bring their family and spend an afternoon getting some free food, take their dog for a walk, really uplifting the quality of life for our residents. Lastly, we were announced on August 9th as a winner of the Northern Borders Regional Commission grant round. This is for new water lines along Unity Road. Those water lines are many of them are over 100 years old. They're ready to collapse any minute. And this project is a big one that we voted on a bond vote in the spring, and with this grant we'll be able to extend that project. So we were awarded $600,000 from the commission. There was, I believe, 156 applications total, and 10 were selected in New Hampshire. So another great one, very competitive, but Newport is on the state's radar. And I actually spoke with someone today about the program, and they just stressed that Newport's infrastructure is definitely become a priority for them. So good things ahead. But that grant we were just awarded, so now we have to revise the scope a little bit and get them a budget, and then we will be able to roll out that project in the spring as well. So those
Great.
are my 3 grant wins that we've had recently. And there are many more on the docket and in the pipeline, so hopefully we'll keep the money coming.
Great. Thank you very much. It's very much appreciated by me, and I'm sure by everybody, that the hard work you're putting in on that stuff
I appreciate it.
is excellent.
Thank you.
A note on back to communications. I had 2 things I wanted to say, and I deferred one to Kate, and I totally forgot the other one. And that really is just a note and a request to the other board members more than anything. The meeting before last, we tabled because people are on vacations, and we didn't have a particularly aggressive agenda of hot topics, but it's my opinion that if we are ever able to put together a quorum, we ought to meet. We were elected to do this gig. I know I'm preaching to the choir with you 2 guys, but you never know, who might have a burning desire to come on here or connect by Zoom, and tonight could have been that night. So thank you guys for coming together, even though there's not particularly anything contentious or phones not ringing off the hook about issues. So I'll speak of the but anyways, thank you guys for
Can
putting
I
that
add
together.
one more
So
thing? I totally forgot. I wanted to update you on the local fiscal recovery fund.
Sure.
So we did, the town did apply for our portion of the American Rescue Plan Act funding. There is $665,000 set aside for Newport. We applied for the whole thing. And I already received confirmation from the governor's council on this portion that our application was accepted and we are good to go. So that money will be, the money and the announcement from the governor's office will be received in about 2 or 3 weeks. But we are approved and good to go.
great.
Awesome.
We have a latecomer, and we've gone through open forum.
Have you already?
But
I
did-
missed it.
Would you like to chat on anything that's not on the agenda?
I would, if you- I don't want to interrupt anything.
You just identify yourself and
Sure thing.
and
It's
sure.
Aarp behind this mask, and I just had a couple of things I just wanted to point out. Not too long ago, we had some issues with zoning and planning and all that sort of thing, and we had a big issue on traffic at an intersection up on the Claremont Road, which pretty well was deemed safe by both the zoning and planning committee and the police department and the fire department. Said, oh, it's okay to have 40 extra cars go through that intersection. I personally had paid for a study on the past accidents up for the last 10 years, and actually the chairman of the board indicated that in one instance his statement was 5 accidents a year isn't bad. 1 accident is too much. I said, but the bottom line, I just want to make that comment. Well, we just had another one the other night at that intersection between Unity Road and Claremont Road. And it goes back to that situation. I don't want to bring up old things because that's so-called water over the dam, but it ought to be cognizant that these people that made these decisions, I mean, the police department wrote a letter and said it was safe, and then he drove to Claremont and went home, and the car that we bought him. And then the fire department did the same thing, and the selectmen, the chairman, the town manager did the same thing, went to Hanover. All of who don't live here and don't see these things on an everyday basis. And you need to listen to your people. You need to listen to the people. I didn't come in here just because I had to complain about my street. These things happen, and it happened again the other night. There was this accident that could have been very serious. So 5 accidents, 1 accident to that, whoever that particular person was pretty serious, okay? So I urge you all to talk to your boards
And I understand there's a law they have to go by and all that sort of thing, but gee whiz, when you see when somebody can actually present you, in fact, I had to pay for an appeal on that particular case because they didn't get the right communications out. They charged me $100 for an appeal, which was a mistake that the board made, in my opinion, but I'm all okay with that. Keep that and Merry Christmas. But then I also paid for that study, and I just felt like no one listened. It was on deaf ears, and it did happen the other night. And I just truly hope that going forward, I understand the law is the law, the zone is the zone, and we all need to pay more attention to what we go to meetings for when we see an area being rezoned or whatever. But when someone brings up topics similar to that are pretty serious to the community, and not only just the neighborhood, the public, I just really felt like we were just kind of pushed off, if you will. So that's not all I got to say. It's just kind of like, that's all I'm going to say. But I hope you understand the point. I'm not trying to come in here to cause a lot of problems, but if there was another accident, and if there's another one, I promised that night, I said, every time there's an accident, you're going to see me on that intersection. And it is perhaps probably the worst in the town of Newport. And the proposal for that housing was going to be 40 more vehicles a day, so to speak, if everyone drove out of that intersection. And we were all there, and we understand what the conversations were, but I'm just not impressed with the replies that I got, and I just wanted to make you aware there was another accident there. And just please listen to your people. Sometimes it could help. We live here. One other thing. I tried to email you this instead of doing this, and gee whiz, I don't know what you did to that, but I don't understand the 50 different places I had to get in. It was pretty easy before to go in there and email a response or a request to the board. I had a whale of a time. I mean, I'm 77. I'm not a dumb shit. Excuse me. Maybe I am for doing this. I don't know. But doggone it, it seems like you complicated it. My argument back then was that you didn't communicate it to people, and you did things during the COVID thing that just kind of flew through. But we got through that one. And then I had trouble getting online at the thing, but I tried to log in the other day, and I'm sure I need to study it, and I'll get my grandson to help me out with that. But it's pretty difficult for people that have lived here, want to communicate, want to talk to you people, and not do what I have to do here. Come down and I'm not making a fool of myself. I'm just trying to make a point, but maybe I did. But you know where I'm going with that? Take a look at that, will you? Because gee whiz, when I went in to log in, it's like 50 different things. I'm sorry, I don't want to lessen any commuters, but I want to simply log on and say, here's my issue. And that's all I have to say, and thank you for taking me back to say that, those sorts of things.
I'm a little unclear on what intersection you're talking about. I know where the Unity Road is, but when you say Claremont Road, I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a motel right there, okay? It's Unity Road and Spring Street. Right at the top, right past the motel. Not too long ago.
Over by,
Going towards Claremont.
towards Claremont,
Yeah, up past Shaw's, you get to the first part of
Like
it.
you're gonna go to the golf course.
like you're gonna take a left out Unity Road. That, right there on the main road?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's always been a tough intersection, and there was a proposal to add a housing, and it's still, I don't know where it is right now. I understand they're still looking for government funding. I don't even know that. But we haven't seen any traffic study yet, but that's another issue, not for you at this point. But my argument was that the impact on traffic was serious, and both the zoning passed through it, and the planning board, the leader of that board said, "Oh, I'm a truck driver, it's not a danger." I mean, those are the kind of responses we get. I don't mean to single people out with those things, and I apologize for that, but I just felt there wasn't enough attention. I know some people did get into it, and I appreciate some of the comments that came back. But there again, we just had the accident, and it's a very dangerous intersection. So some consideration needs to be put forth in the future that when we approve these items or these whatever it would have been at the time, if you get some input, you might want to listen to it.
I agree, I'm not crazy about that intersection.
I swear it's the worst in the community. If someone can tell me a tougher one, I hope you
Well, the
can.
speed limit coming down the hill is 30,
You got the trucks coming down the hill.
but I came down that hill just a few minutes ago, and traffic was flowing down through there 45, 50 miles an hour.
Sure.
You just incriminated yourself.
I did.
Well, I even proposed,
Public
a
meeting.
few years ago, I proposed to the state came in and said they wanted to do away with the truck lane because it was an issue, and at that time, the board said the truck drivers would get upset, which is pretty absurd, because who cares about the truck drivers? Think about the people like us. They're not gonna get upset because they're gonna be slow anyway. That's not an issue for a
Which
truck-
is why that
truck lane.
lane
It's
was
not an
put
issue
in to
for a
begin
truck
with.
driver, it's for us. But they approved it, and I had a proposal to getting rid of that lane so that it was somewhat safe, and I entered it at that time to the state. I tried to enter it at that thing, but they wouldn't take paper that night. They said, we don't accept paperwork, and let's not get into that. But there are fixes for it, but that's not that we can do that here, but it was brought up, and I know some of you were there, and I just wanted to let you know there's another accident. And I'll let you know, the chairman of the boards, I wish you would pass that on to them, because their responses to me were not, I want to call appealing, they weren't satisfactory in my opinion, but thank you for the time. If you have any other questions, that's
Bert, did you have something to say?
I'd like to comment about the planning and zoning board's responsibilities. Most of the public does not know that when you are hearing a case that is required to have notice and hearing, all of the board members have to meet the criteria the same as a juror standard in Superior Court. You must be as impartial as the lot of humanity will admit, and that's, quote, the law. So that means when you're sitting, that if you are subjected to outside information that is not given in any other form, in other words, not from the community, but from community members who are concerned, you cannot sit. In the case of Spring Street, I could not sit. I had to offer to the person, the applicant, whether I could or not, his choice, based on a conversation that I had. He chose for me not to sit. I had 13 items on my list. I had spent 3 full days on every print to get so that I absolutely understood that project. I could not sit. So the understanding in this community of the responsibility of the board members is tantamount to justice. If you were sitting on a trial in court where the person was charged with a crime and you had been told something else as a juror, would you sit? So that it has to be understood that the board members have to meet that criteria, or else they themselves are breaking the law.
That I understand, and I do, and I take fault, and I won't speak for the community, but I as a citizen take blame for not paying attention to what some of these zoning ordinance changes are. In fact, that came about, I don't have the numbers with me tonight, I did have it at one of those meetings, when we got bombarded with a whole list of zoning changes, and one of them was to include, not to get into the topic, because it's, housing like that, affordable housing in every zoning thing. It came about at us in the zone. Well, you know what happens at an election. People, you guys go in and say, hey, the budget's really good this year. We kept it under the line. So they all hit the yes notes, and they don't really read into, and not many people do. I mean, it's not publicized quite enough. And you could say it's on the internet, you could say that, you could say this, but we went through the COVID thing and things weren't even said. So no, I totally agree. The law is the law. I'll buy the zoning thing. I had to live with that. But when it got to the planning thing, I thought we had some opportunity to make some adjustments and that sort of thing. But unfortunately, we all voted to say, yeah, you can have that particular, I got to say the word affordable housing. I know you don't want to talk about that particular topic. And I think it's in like almost every zone now. You can put it in, God knows. And I just think it's a travesty. I just don't think people read it. Just like the last election, not to get into it particulars, and I still have this question. We had an item where it said that we're gonna upgrade the water system, was it, or sewer? But it said it won't cost the voters anything, it's gonna be a grant, but the remainder will be absorbed by the users. So guess what? You all advertised, rightfully so, that the budget was pretty clean, it was a good year and everything, so vote yes on everything. Well, guess what? People that don't use the water voted yes on that. So how fair is that? And what are the rules on that sort of thing? It makes me think that only users should vote for those particular items, but I'm sure it can't be. I'm sure you can tell me a law that says no, but those are the kinds of things that ire people, if you will. But I've taken enough of your time. You've got business to do. Thank you for listening, and thanks for the input. I know just where you're going with that, and I totally agree.
Thanks, Ed. Yeah, my only comment on that is, even the folks on the, the boards, select board included, speaking for myself, we're not professional politicians, I would say. Even this board is a lay board, and we don't know what we don't know. Myself, I'm learning on the fly almost every day about, questions that you might have about process, or even, how the heck do I send an email to Jeff Kessler or whatever, pick up the phone. And if I don't know, I will find out. I know you do, but and if more people did just that and pick up the phone or send an email, that's not that I want any more emails or phone calls, but I signed up for it. It goes back to my last comment of the people that sit here asked for it, and I'm game. So I appreciate you had taken the time to come down and say what you felt you needed to say. And
to add to that, Bill O'Reilly used to call it that, and it's the truth. You guys are patriots, and saying you take a lot of your time to do this, and I totally respect that. Don't get me wrong. I just don't always agree with you.
Sure.
But I do respect the fact that you're giving a lot of time for this.
It's not really about that. It's
I know.
I appreciate you making the time, Ed, and we'll do what we can to make sure that you always are able to say your piece.
Just on, as far as availability and getting our email addresses and phone numbers, wasn't there an issue with the website a couple of weeks ago? Month ago?
I believe that was repaired, because it looks like we're all listed again.
Okay, because I haven't gone to the website.
I just don't, I know it's changed from what it was, the process.
It is.
I haven't tried to send any emails to the town, so I don't know what the process is.
I've gotten a few. So what I understand is that the format changed, and it was supposed to be more simple, where you just click on the person's name and it pulls up your your browser. If you have Outlook or what most people have these days, it'll.
It's a form.
Yeah.
So you click on and it just pulls up the form.
Yep.
So in other words, I just couldn't go in and email you. I had to go through a process with a
Yeah.
and it almost as if I had to get a password, and it made me, I had to enter some password. And that never was the case. I could always log in and click on and get somebody.
Well,
I'm not saying it's wrong, it's just that
Sure.
I'm sure I'm not alone that don't understand it. And
I've struggled with it myself.
did you really?
Yeah.
Okay, then you're just a young, see, so it's just old people.
so it apparently needs further consideration.
I want to look into that.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very
Is
much.
it possible we could just put a list for town emails, like on the window
That,
outside, so that people
Sure.
come in and register their car, have to see it? I said, oh, well, now I know how to get in touch with the selectmen. As a possible suggestion.
Or even, I think on the website there might, or at least I haven't been on in a couple months, but there was a time I was trying to email the board and I wanted to give you all the same information, but to put it in the browser I couldn't cut and paste and put it in. It just became gobbledygook to send to each of you, so I had to write it in, where if I could have seen a list of the emails I could have moved those into an email to make it more professional for you.
The delivery of information to you is somehow a mountain to most people. They don't show up here. You would think that there would be many more people than you have. So that is an obstacle in of itself, public speaking. But to make it so that you can't have direct contact with board members, I think is not fair. And then a form, why? Why the additional complexity? It is, I find the websites, the people that do it for a business, they are techno, and they want to take this all the way out. I do not. Facebook, I do not. This book, that book, anything. You can't leave a message on my cell phone. You call me, I answer it. If I don't answer it, I don't answer it. It's that simple. So, is it that I am so stupid that I can't deal with all of that? I don't know. I wouldn't waste my time. If I want to talk to somebody, come on phone. And so I think that if somebody goes to the website and wants to communicate to a board member, there should be direct access. That doesn't mean he has to answer the phone, but it has to be there.
I don't think you'll get any argument from us on that.
Not at all.
All right, moving to action items. Kate Leopold.
All right, well, this is the 47th Annual Apple Pie Crafts Fair, and we had a meeting with all the town heads several months ago to discuss bringing the fair to town again this year after taking last year off, and how to make sure that we were doing it safely with COVID. And we came to consensus and got approval by the town to do so, with suggestions on how to follow protocol a little differently, how to adjust things to make sure that we're being as safe as we can while we bring a really big event to town. And then a couple weeks ago, just the last couple years we've been asked to send the official paperwork in to the town to reserve the common. And I sent that in to Sylvia with a note that said, we've always had the fees waived. And Sylvia called me and said, call Hunter. So I called Hunter, and he asked me to come ask you for permission to see if the Library Arts Center could have the fees waived for the Apple Pie Crafts Fair this year. So I'd love to ask if that's possible, and then ask if it is possible, if in the future you would like us to come back each year to ask, or saying it's such a big community event that the Arts Center doesn't, we make a little money off it, but it's not like we're doing it because it's our mission work. So if there could be perhaps the next 47 years or something like that, if there could be a way that we didn't have to come every year. If you'd like us to come every year, I don't mind. I'm happy to come. It just was funny. We've never been asked to before, so I didn't know if things have changed in the protocol of it, or if there's reasoning. And in that case, sure, we're happy to come.
So, I could be completely wrong, but I don't know of any fee waivers that we do in perpetuity, or for any.
That's just fine then.
I think as inconvenient as it might be, it does, even though it's a few people who may not have any concerns, it does give us or the community opportunity to say what they think about it being waived, or what happened last year, or suggestions about the upcoming event. That said, I would be willing to listen to any suggestions from the board on how you'd like to act on this matter.
I'd just like to point out that recently, with some of the waivers that we have issued, we've had a problem with vehicles on the common.
Okay.
And parking on the common. That's we're still having that issue with some events. I don't know if the town understands why it's a problem. The compaction of the soils is affecting the trees. Mm-hmm. And as just recently we've had a lot of rain, you can get a vehicle stuck pretty easily out on the common, because mm-hmm. it's pretty wet soil underneath that place. So I guess what I would say is just I would put an emphasis on, they can unload. I believe there's a time frame that they can stop and unload whatever they need to unload. But they need to park in an appropriate parking spot.
Yes,
And it's
yeah.
also for safety. I mean, when people get all jammed around there, it's quite congested when you
It
drive
is.
through.
And we fully agree with that, and that's nicely on the form from the town not to do that, and we don't, and we actually work with the rec center to get vendor parking down there, so all the vendors park way off-site, so that helps alleviate some of the congestion and traffic and make more room for shoppers as well. But they have been allowed to pull on to unload their things, but they have to be off before 9.
Yes.
Okay.
That being said, I don't have a problem with issuing a waiver, and I feel the same as John, that I don't think the policy has really changed. We just prefer to have an oversight of when these events take place and each year
Mm-hmm.
going over these waivers.
Is that a motion?
I will make the motion that we waive the fees for the Apple Pie Crafts Fair for August 2021.
Didn't she ask for it without having to come back ever?
I wasn't granted it. so-
John referred to that as the in
You didn't ask for
perpetuity.
public input on it. I mean, I was just curious about it. If I heard her right, I thought she said, do I have to come back every year?
And John, I think, replied that she would have to, that
She
that
would have to.
we don't issue an in perpetuity for waivers for any of it.
It's the only treasure we got in this community right now, if you think about it. What brings people to Newport for reunions, for everything? It's like that thing over in Sunapee right now. People come back annually, year after year, just for that particular thing, and they plan their trip. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be speaking. May I speak?
Well, they haven't been denied, it's just that we'd like to review the waivers each year.
Okay.
And there was a town meeting as well of the town heads to discuss the whole procedure this year. That was the first for this event. But I am happy to jump through any hoops necessary to make it possible for us to do this.
Can I add on behalf? I think the goal of all of it is just to create a uniform process.
And I
so that
respect
there's
that. I get
no
that.
inequality amongst.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. And we're also very happy that this year the town will be given a free booth by the library, Art Center.
Yes, thank
So
you.
we are going to be promoting in a big way all the wonderful things that the town is doing. And Christine will be one of the judges of the apple pie contest, so featuring the town again. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. Excited about that.
Mr. Chair, for the minutes, the motion was to waive the library, the rental fee for the Apple Pie Crafts Fair for August. Did not state a date and whether it was going to be half day, full day,
The 20th.
or what.
For the day of Saturday, the
Herb
28th.
was making the motion.
I didn't know the exact date, it's August
Okay.
28th, 2021.
28.
Sun up to sundown. And then if I could speak on, once you're done with that part, I'm not sure if you're.
So we have a motion.
And I will second that.
Okay, so all in favor of waiving the fees for use of the town common for the Apple Pie Crafts Fair, say aye.
Aye.
And the only comment I'll make is I completely agree with Ed that this is a wonderful thing, and people from a long ways away really do treasure this event. And I appreciate you taking the time to come down and remind us that it is on Saturday the 28th, and people will be coming from far and wide.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I have one more thing I'd like to talk about the Apple Pie Crafts Fair. A few years ago, the Art Center purchased about $1,000 worth of gorgeous banners to go down Main Street to advertise the Apple Pie Crafts Fair. And I can't even tell you how much praise we got from that from the community, and how many people said how alive it made Newport look, how it showed our vitality, it showed the things we have going on, it showed us in a really positive light, and it helped people who live here realize what we have to be proud of, and it helped people passing through realize what we have to be proud of. And we realized this year those poles have been taken down, and I think part of it is there are the beautiful banners that are on the small common right now honoring our veterans, which is wonderful. I have full appreciation for that, and I think they're a wonderful statement in town. But I believe those are left up from Memorial to Labor Day with the flags, which I don't know if that's in perpetuity, if that's just this year. That's what I was told. And it's something I'd love if that might be reconsiderable in the future. If those veteran flags could be up at Memorial Day. I know I noticed them right off, and they like choked me up when I drove by. But now I don't even notice them. So if they went up then, and then maybe went up at Veterans Day, so we could really honor and take pride in those. Before COVID, we at the Art Center had been in discussions with the Chamber of Commerce, with the Opera House, with Historical Society, the library, starting to talk about how we could work together to get a couple small grants to make multiple sets of banners like that for all the different events we have going on. And we could help broker kind of putting those up so that we constantly have really professional banners showing what's going on. And then COVID happened, everything slowed down and changed. But as we've been getting our gears going again, we realized the infrastructure for those banners is no longer there. And it seems that perhaps there's been a shift in decision on banners. So I just wanted to ask if there is, or if there's hope for us to be able to do that in the future, or where that stands.
You're referring to the flags?
Yeah, and
Not the ones with the poles.
there.
Go ahead.
So there's the little common that has the really nice banners for veterans, and then there are nice flags going down Main Street. Yeah.
I got involved in that, so I'd like to be able to speak on that if I get a chance.
Yeah, I'll plead ignorance on that one. I'm not 100% sure. What I do know that in the past, the schedule of flags has been, like I said, through Labor Day. But I don't know what the schedule of, pie fair flags versus, flags or banners going out on Memorial Day, or how we might be able to make that a little more shared space.
Yeah.
I'm done with John on that as well. I mean, I have complete ignorance to it, and I don't know of any legislation in town that has anything to do with banners. I know we have replaced some light poles that were rotted and unsafe, basically. I don't know if they had the apparatus to attach the banners to, and maybe those were the ones that were replaced, or some of those were replaced. But that's something I guess we can look into and see if we can get some information on that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's the ones that have, there are a lot of them. They used to all have like two brackets coming off them, and they looked kind of handmade. I don't know, I loved them. And they're gone. I don't know what happened. And most of them have been replaced on right down the middle of Main Street. Those ones have all been replaced with really nice flags, which are great. But it would be nice if that could kind of flip-flop back and forth depending on the time. I mean, there have been discussions of doing like a series of shop local during the holidays, and doing Winter Carnival, and doing, like, coming up with all the different things going on. And,
I'm not a professional, but it might have had something to do with stress on the poles. If there were two flags already there, that maybe they felt a bracket with something else coming off that pole would be.
Yeah, no, they used to have it. It was years. It's only been, I think, the last, I don't know if it's been the last 2 years that the flags have been there.
They've been there for 5.
5, wow.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is the first year that there isn't, or at least perhaps last year we weren't able to do it anyway, but there aren't even brackets for us to bring the flag.
Brackets are gone.
Yeah. Only the flag ones remain, and that I've been able to see driving by.
Okay. Yeah, I just got involved in that a few years ago because Mr. Gallagher was for years he tried to understand why we couldn't put flags on poles like most of the communities. And there's a very stringent freaking procedure to do that with the utilities. You have to sign your life away to get certain things. So we ended up that they agreed. We came to a meeting. We finally got together, and the town manager was here. You guys all were involved, and whoever may have been involved, and agreed to do this through Memorial Day and through the events through Veterans Day, which this goes most of the year. But he had a program at one time set up, and it may be an issue with his health. I don't hall, but I think he could remove them if not needed, but it may be a people issue. As far as the bracket thing, maybe, there's no reason to fly a flag like perhaps on an off time, but there are certain holidays that truly deserve that.
Definitely.
So, but prior to that, they had a sign that showed the town hall. Well, I mean, the town hall's right there. You didn't need a picture of the town hall. But to advertise this or to do the other community things, I don't see any problem with that unless it's Memorial Day. And we're all adamant about that. We veterans feel that there's a time when it should be observed.
And I agree, definitely.
But I don't think there's any issue with moving them there. Simple bracket. You could put something else in there. Take it out and plug something else into that. That's my opinion. But that's what I know about it.
We'll follow up.
Talk to the town manager on that. He was obviously involved.
Yeah, and he was, part of the process on getting the flags there to begin with.
I think there's no reason it can't all be. We're all in it together. They used to say in the COVID thing. So why are those people charging us triple for everything?
Christine, could we encourage you to
Yes.
dig into that
Yes,
a little bit
definitely.
That's good, thank you.
and relay to Kate what you
Yeah.
might find?
Thank you,
Thank you.
Christine.
Okay, now we have an appointment to discuss. In your packet, I believe it is the second to last page. And I would entertain a motion on that. We have someone interested in becoming the deputy treasurer.
Have we consistently had a deputy treasurer in town?
Have in the past.
We just don't have one now, or?
That's correct. Yep.
Treasurer position is selected.
Treasurer this is deputy treasurer. Fills in when the treasurer might not be available or has to review something. We have some 2019. This was discussed a couple of years ago, and there was no issue at the time. And at that time, Jackie Cody was made deputy treasurer, and since then she has not renewed that post. So we're looking to refill it with someone who has raised their hand in Gunter Hubert.
According to the RSA, the treasurer selects the deputy and brings it forward to the school for the board to approve or disapprove, whichever.
Anyone willing to make that motion?
I'll make the motion that we accept the appointment of Gunter Hubert as deputy treasurer in accordance with RSA 41:29-a.
A motion? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3-0 on that. And that takes us through appointments. Unless there is anything else to come before us this evening?
Should we make a quick announcement about the Labor Day meeting being changed? It's gonna be the week
Sure,
ahead.
have at it.
I guess normally we don't meet on Labor Day, which is going to be September 4th or 6th?
6th.
September 6th. That meeting has been canceled, and we'll be meeting a week early. The new date is August 30th for the next select board meeting,
At 6:30.
6:30.
And like Ed and Bert both said, I'll just echo that there's one probably best way to be heard, and that's be here.
Agree more.
So,
There was a time we couldn't be, though. You understand all that.
Absolutely.
I had my voice stuck in, you saw me here.
Yep.
But I understand it to some degree, but it's just the way it was.
is there any other motion, like one to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That'll do it.
Thank you, John. Well done.
Thanks, guys.